Okay, shalom, shalom, boys here. Well, wanted to do a video responding to a situation that has recently happened where a 21-year-old sister gets shot by her 1-year-old son with a gun laying around the house. Now, this is one of those situations where it's very sad and why it's so important for people that if you're going to own a firearm, to ensure that they are properly stored and that you know how to use a firearm. Now, this is a twofold process or a twofold part when it comes to talking about this, because O'Shea Duke Jackson recently did a video talking about this situation. But one of the things that I also picked up and I was able to confirm just by his demeanor on the video is that he does not agree with ownership of firearms. At least that's what I get. I understand that, people out there that own firearms, they're very irresponsible. And it's a sad thing. And just like a knife needs to be put up, just like certain tools need to be put up, just like coverings for your electrical outlets needs to be covered, because when you have children around, there's a myriad of things that they can get into that can harm themselves or others. You shouldn't have any sharp knives laying around, because just like a sharp knife or just like a gun can kill someone, and a toddler can get a hold of a sharp gun, or a gun, they can get a hold of a sharp knife and accidentally, or think that they're playing, can cut a sibling or a mother, or stab, and you hit the wrong artery. I mean, it is done for. And if you don't know how to deal with a knife wound or a puncture, life can quickly flee that individual, and it's all based on irresponsibility. And it's sad to see. And this is one of the things that I see in the black community. And, listen, I come from a corporate background. I was raised in, I'm from Fort Greene, Farragut Projects in Brooklyn, New York. So I understand guns. I understand the illegal nature, which the state says is illegal. Because in New York and New Jersey, there's certain things that you can't do, especially in New York City. You cannot own a firearm whatsoever in New York City. That's why I don't believe personally in living in one of these communist states. But I'll get on the notion that I agree with him in his assessment that, only a buffoon would leave a loaded firearm. Now, anyone knows me knows that, I have guns all around. I have rifles, I have shotguns, I have handguns, and this is how I defend my family, my homestead. This is how I hunt. You see that bad boy right there? That's what I use to put food on my table. It is a long-range sniper's rifle that I use for hunting, but I can also use for self-defense. We have this bad boy here, which is a AK variant. Now, I can use this as well for hunting and as well for self-defense. I mean, it's interesting that I purchased this gun. This is a Saiga, and it's a AK variant. And this gun probably goes, so I checked it, it goes for about 3 times the amount in which I purchased it for. It's been a great investment. And I personally believe in responsible gun ownership. I really believe that every man should own a firearm. Now, it's interesting, it seems as though O'Shea Duke Jackson does not believe in firearm ownership. It doesn't seem as though he owns a gun. He said it himself that he prays that he never needs a gun, so forth and so on. And I want to touch on this because, we live in a world where people may seem to do you harm, or they will do you harm for no apparent reason. And there's a lot of people out there that own guns because, see, bad guys, they own guns. They have no problem using a gun to stick you up, to break into your home, to rob you, to do any sort of things to you and your family. And so this is why I personally believe that if criminals are going to own a gun, and I live in a state where it's a constitutional carry state, and you can own firearms. And I make sure that I'm well stocked and well armed to make sure that I can defend myself and my family. And this goes into the notion as well, is that a lot of people, you folks are moving to these other countries, Guyana, Africa, Tanzania, and you don't have a right to own a gun over there. And if you own a gun, it has to be registered. You just don't have the right that you do in a lot of constitutional carry Second Amendment states like Texas, like Kentucky, and to name a few others. I think Tennessee is a good state. And it's sad to see men that get up and advocate that specifically black men should not own a gun, and that we are labeled in such a fashion that, if we own a gun with some type of Pookie or Ray Ray or because he made a lot of assumptions in this video, which are simply, it's going to come out, it's not going to be true. But it's sad to see this sort of mentality because, see, if you are a Christian and you believe in Jesus, and a lot of these people, they're all Christians and they claim that they believe in Jesus. Well, I've never heard him say that he believed in Jesus particularly. But the Messiah clearly said that if you don't have a sword, go and sell your cloak and buy one. And no one believes. Now, again, I've said it on numerous occasions. I don't believe in aggressing towards anyone. I don't believe in harming anyone. And it's simply for self-defense. And I thank the Father for being in a situation where I've never been arrested. I've never committed a crime. My record is squeakily clean. And it's primarily for defense. But if someone thinks that they're going to perpetuate harm towards me and my family, they have another thing coming. And again, guns are the ultimate equalizer, because the truth and the fact of the matter is that depending on your size and weight or whatever, I cannot beat everybody. I cannot take on everybody. That's just a fact. There's someone out there that's bigger and badder and more skilled than me, whether it's with a knife or firearms or with their hands or whatever, that can beat me. That's just the truth. And then everybody as well can't beat me. That's just the truth. However, we have the ability to up the ante right here. And see, the idea is that if someone wants to, and people have different opinions on this, but David and Goliath, he used a weapon. Samson, he used weapons. We have these accounts even in the Bible where men used weapons. They used swords, they used stones, they used something in order to defeat an enemy or enemies that may have been more skilled or larger than them. So I don't understand what the issue is. And it's sad to see situations like this where you have a men that gives this aura that, it's somehow bad to own a gun and defend yourself. And this is why I don't recommend moving to certain countries where you don't have a Second Amendment right. In spite of all of the things that is going on in this country, it's amazing that the United States, out of all countries in the world, is probably, outside of Israel, and I don't know the gun laws in terms of you moving to Israel, and I wouldn't recommend that. But any of these other states, Switzerland, I believe, they have good gun laws. I mean, every citizen can have, but you can't just go to Switzerland and become a citizen. So there's a lot of factors that are taken in consideration when you are saying that you're going to move to one of these countries. I know O'Shea Duke Jackson believes he lives somewhere in Africa. But clearly he says, he doesn't have any way to protect himself. So therefore, he is dependent on the government. He's dependent on any kind of local authority to protect himself or to come in and to protect himself just in case someone attempts to perpetuate harm towards him. And that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing because, I don't personally recommend, nor do I know any sane person that would recommend relinquishing that responsibility of self-defense to someone else. Because the fact of the matter is that the police in any country around the world is minutes away when seconds count. They're only minutes away when seconds count. And their responsibility is not to prevent someone doing harm towards you, but their responsibility is to charge and prosecute and investigate the crime after it's taken place. So, it's sad to see or to hear, because see, when someone that is a social influencer, gets that spirit out there, I don't own guns. I hope I never have to own guns. And the sad thing about it is that, in the Black manosphere, for everything that they do, and largely they're totally, and Kevin Samuels has just been recently talking about in this Winter is Coming series, but a lot of these folks are totally unprepared, for what's about to take place in this country and in this world. And it's a sad thing because you don't have a lot of brothers out there warning men about what's getting ready to take place in this country and what it means for themselves and their security. A lot of these brothers, they ain't going to survive. They're not, just listening to them, they're not going to survive what's getting ready to take place in this country and in this world. They're not going to. It's just simply a fact. It seems they don't have any kind of food storage. They don't have any kind of skills in terms of hunting. They don't know how to grow any food. They're in major population centers. And it's sad to see. And I'm sorry, doing a YouTube video or making YouTube videos is not a real skill. I mean, you can make a lot of money off of doing it, but it's not a real skill. And that's just a fact. And I'll challenge any of these cats out here. And I know that they won't, because they'll, accuse of some type of clout chasing or something, this, that, and the third. But the fact of the matter is that we need to be advocating, even in the Black manosphere, self-sufficiency, learning how to do these things, and promoting brothers that know how to do, because none of these brothers, they don't know how to do any of this stuff. They don't know how to do any of it. They have their pulse on the issue of male-female relationships, but however, they don't have their pulse on any of this other stuff. And it's very much sad and disturbing to see, but it is what it is.
You mess around them, you'll be messed up. If a person don't...
a lot of Pookies and Ray Rays, we get grouped into this notion that, a person that owns a firearm is a Pookie or Ray or is irresponsible. Now, again, it's a sad thing to see what happened with this sister, weaving it up, sandling it up. It seems like fake eyebrows, purple or pink hair, not married. This is the situation that a lot of people are talking about. But again, when you link up with these quality of women and these women link up with this quality of men, this is what is going to happen. This is most likely what's going to happen. Some type of accident where somebody's just not responsible. Now, again, I'm a responsible gun owner, and I believe in making sure that firearms are handled safely. Me, particularly, what I do is I have shelves where my children cannot just get the firearm. They're educated about the firearms, but in addition to that, I make sure that my guns are not chambered, and I don't chamber any of the guns. So just in case, they can, to cock back a Glock or to cock back any of these weapons. They just don't have the pull strength, that they don't have the strength in order to do it. But in addition to that, when they do get the pull strength, because I do have a son that comes and visits, and, you know, he knows even not to touch it, you know, and I teach him, and I've taught him how to safely handle the firearms, because, you know, he loves those Call of Duty things and he loves to shoot. But this is what we have to do to ensure that, number one, we're safely storing our firearms, but two, because I talked on a couple of things, you know, safely storing your firearm, moving to another country to make sure that you do have some type of guaranteed right. And I was watching a video. It said you don't have the right to own a firearm in a lot of these countries. And a lot of people seem to be moving in a lot of these countries. I mean, me personally, I don't recommend it. And I've listened to people that are much, much wiser and more informed than me that also does not recommend it. But we do recommend making sure that you got some guns and some bullet and some ammo, because see, you know, it's sad. You know, it don't make sense. It's stupid to think that someone else is going to protect you in your family in the event that someone most likely with a gun or with a knife or anything is going to perpetuate violence towards you, and you don't have a means to defend yourself. That's just not wise. That's not intelligent at all. But I'll put a link so you can hear his own words. But it's pretty sad that this mentality is promoted and it is encouraged amongst black folk, African Americans, whatever you call it. Because in this country, I would definitely recommend that if you have the legal right and that you are not a convicted felon or anything like that, and you are go through some training, that you should own a firearm. You should own a firearm because it's your right as a human being to protect yourself from all enemies, foreign and domestic, to protect yourself and your life and your family against anybody that's going to perpetuate violence towards you. And some of those people may hold a firearm. And so the best way to defend yourself against someone that is perpetuating violence towards you, most likely with a firearm, is with a firearm. You have a blessed day. Shalom.